The gigantic government sucks. Pursuit of happiness radio is deluxe. Liberty and freedom will make you smile. The pursuit of happiness on your radio dial. Just as cheeseburgers and liberty fries, it's pursuit of happiness time.
Southwest Airlines is cutting 15% of its corporate jobs. They meant to cut them 2 years ago, but just like a Southwest flight, that plan kept getting delayed. Hi, everybody. Thanks for turning on your radio. Yay, it's me. You're here. I'm live on the radio today, but I'm also streaming this on social media. And I know at the beginning of the year, if you're keeping score at home, I promised I would do this more often, and I haven't actually done it a lot. Mostly because when I go to work, I'm not wearing clothing, and so it's probably not appropriate to live stream video on the internet. But today I am here, so thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching me on social media, you're probably not watching on Bookface. As I check this, it looks like weird connection issues with Facebook today, Meta. I don't know if it's me or them or what, but hello to the dozens of people watching on X and 2 people watching on YouTube. So, yay, we got YouTube. All right, I want to start the show off with this today. One of the least discussed things in the Donald Trump administration is the confirmation hearing for Labor Secretary nominee Lori Chavez DeRemer. And we'll just call her Lori because I may not even be saying her last name right. I'm not a fan. She's a leftist Republican. The worst kind of, look, we don't like Dade Phelan. We don't like Lindsey Graham. We don't like Mitch McConnell. I don't know why she gets a pass. Pro-union, fiscally on the left. She's like Elizabeth Warren when it comes to economics. And so she's doing a hearing today, and Rand Paul has pointed out before, you're very pro-union. You've supported the PRO Act, as a matter of fact, the PRO Act, which is something that would have defied or contradicted the Republican principle of the right to work. And oddly enough, there are some people that have come on board to support this woman that you would not have expected. People that have been very critical of unions in the past. People like this guy right here. That's Mark Wayne Mullins, if you're watching on social media. Mark Wayne, as you may recall, is the junior senator from Oklahoma. Not the worst senator in Oklahoma, but certainly not my favorite senator in the United States. Look, pros and cons to everybody. He has 2 first names, Mark Wayne. Isn't that fun? In fact, it's not even 2 words. He just jams them together, Mark Wayne, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Anyway, he is all on board with Lori, which is a surprise. I'll explain why in just a second here.
Just kind of want to give you an update of what's going to happen today. Today we're going to confirm Kelly. Tomorrow we'll get Kash Patel taken care of. But a big thing that's on a lot of people's mind is Lori, the Secretary of Labor nominee that President Trump has put out. There's some confusion going on. Like, why did President Trump pick Lori? She's a Republican congressman. And at the same time, she supports the PRO Act.
Right.
We're a right-to-work state in Oklahoma. And obviously, you guys know I've had some problems with the union. Sean O'Brien and I kind of had a moment or two.
Stop right there. I don't know how many of you guys remember that. But Mark Wayne is actually referencing one of the funniest things that has happened in the Senate in years. I mean, look, there have been a lot of great moments in the Senate, but very rarely does the Senate remind us of the House. The House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. often looks a lot like a Jerry Springer episode, especially when Lauren Boebert and Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene are exchanging barbs. Very, very rarely do you get that kind of excitement in the Senate. We got it a while back. What was this, a year or 2 back? Mark Wayne Mullen was talking to one of the union bosses, labor union boss, and that's when this happened.
Like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown.
Huh.
Fraud. Always
Fraud.
has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy.
Huh.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Wait.
Stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
oh, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution?
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down.
Okay.
You know, you're a United States Senator.
Actively.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it.
Hold it. Hold it.
If we can.
Hold it. Sir, you are a United States Senator. My favorite part of this clip is Bernie Sanders is the voice of reason. Well, it turns out they're all on the same committee, and that was a couple of years ago. And now that same committee has been tasked with having to decide if this woman, Lori, who is very pro-union, for being a Republican, she seems an awful lot like a liberal. And so Rand Paul had the opportunity to exchange barbs with Labor nominee Lori Chavez DeRemer, and she's now backtracking on the PRO Act. I guess that was good enough for Mark Wayne Mullen. It wasn't good enough for Rand Paul.
I enjoyed our meeting in our office, and I know you're aware of this, but about half the country has right-to-work laws. 26 states.
I'm going to pause right there because I think my monitor just quit working. It's this is the fun of live broadcasting, folks, is let me see if I can fix it. I'm live on the radio right now. This won't make any sense to people listening at home. But the image that people were looking at there that was displaying this video has just stopped working. So hopefully I can fix that for you guys. I hate it if I can't. Is it, no, it's just not going to work. Son of a bitch. This has never happened before. It disconnected. Let me see if I can fix it here. Hold on one second. Samsung, I've got it. Blame Samsung, everybody. It's Samsung's fault that this wouldn't work. Can I get a mulligan on this one? Here we go.
Have them. When you compare right-to-work states with non-right-to-work states, you see that the right-to-work states have double the employment growth. If you look at manufacturing jobs, they have 5 times the manufacturing job growth. If you look at disposable income in the right-to-work states, about $3,000 more per individual for disposable income in the right-to-work states. The PRO Act wasn't just about organizing or enabling unions to organize, which they already have the right to do. The PRO Act was about overturning right-to-work laws in 26 states, half of the country. If you look at most of these states would argue that this was would be a horrendous invasion of their prerogatives. The chairman asked you, and then the ranking member asked you, do you still support the PRO Act? The reason we want to know is this is a tremendous sort of invasion of the states' rights to decide these. This would be overturning the right-to-work laws in half of the country. Do you still support the PRO Act, or don't you support the PRO Act?
It's a great question.
Thank you, Senator Paul, and I appreciated our meeting as well. I thought it was quite
Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
what you shared with me is how important it is to you and your state, and I heard that from many members. The right to work is a fundamental tenet of labor laws, where states have a right to choose if they want to be a right-to-work state, and that should be
PRO
protected.
Act would have overturned
It's not what you said before, right?
Yes, thank you, Senator. I signed on to the PRO Act because I was representing Oregon's 5th District, but I also signed on to the PRO Act because I wanted to be at that table and have those conversations. But I fully, fairly, and support states who want to protect their right to work.
All right, I'll cut to the chase here. She's changed her mind. She's changed her mind, everybody. Suddenly, she's not pro-union, leftist, fiscal leftist, social, progressive economics, as the people on the left love to call it. What changed? Now, she claims, look, I only supported this thing before because I'm a lawmaker from Oregon. I didn't think I'd get reelected. That's not a good excuse. Or, look, I don't know. Maybe some of you guys disagree with me. Some people out there might think, okay, maybe she didn't like the law, but she supported it because it's what her constituents wanted. And that's fine if that's your opinion. Just know that if a politician is willing to change their opinion about something in order to get a job, they're probably not the right person for the job. Can't we just find there's 340 million people in this country. We have to have Lori. We have to have the leftist, liberal, shill Republican in charge of our labor department who just flip-flopped on this position 5 minutes ago when she realized there were 15 Republicans that wouldn't support her. And to that point, there might be 20 Democrats that will vote yes for her. So maybe she'll be fine. Maybe she'll coast right into this position. Look, nobody's perfect. Donald Trump is building what I think is the greatest presidential administration of our lifetime. Some of these nominees are so good. It's mind-blowing. It's a libertarian, conservative, populist, nationalist wet dream. We can't believe the people we're getting. But nobody's perfect. This is not a good pick. She's not good. We can do better than this. I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but I think they should vote no to this woman and find someone better.
Stop it, government. Get out of my life.
You're listening to The Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
Hey, everybody, if you're just getting connected to this video, it's very cool that you're here right now. Mostly because I'd just be in this room alone talking into this microphone like a crazy person if you weren't here. But if you're just joining us, know this. We at the Walton and Johnson Radio Network and Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness have just launched new merch at ilovewj.com. As a matter of fact, you can get a very cool Pursuit of Happiness, Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness coffee mug, t-shirt, tank tops, looks good on a woman, makes a great gift if that's the sort of thing that you're into. And I encourage you, if you are looking for that, and just know that we give most of the money we earn from our merch actually goes towards a very worthy cause. Sunshine Kids, Wheelchairs for Warriors. We almost always donate that money to charity. So please, I hope you guys will, consider going to ilovewj.com today and purchase something. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, according to new data, the average person has 1,600 photos on their phone. Android, iPhone, doesn't matter. 1,600 photos. For young people, the photos are of family. For old people, the photos are of a single attempt to take a photo of a family, I gotta think. You notice how there's this shift happening right now culturally around the country? I'm so old. How old are you? Thank you very much, imaginary person in the back of the room. I'm so old. I can remember a time when conservatives were geriatrics and liberals were more often than not the young, cool, hip people. And that has changed. That is changing right now, rapidly. Young people seem to be pro-Trump. Old people seem to not like him. It's not what people expect, especially if you're listening to AM talk radio. You wouldn't expect that at all. When we watch these videos of anti-Trump, anti-DOGE protesters, two things you immediately notice. It's a bunch of old hippies trying to relive the 60s, right? That's the first thing you notice. And then the second thing you notice is after all these years, they still haven't learned how to sing on key.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Wait for it, listen.
We'll fight against DOGE. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's got...
For our young people that don't understand what they're watching here, these are people in their 70s and 80s, and they can remember streaking naked through the Woodstock Music Festival while high on LSD. That's probably where a lot of them actually fornicated for the first time, and the reason why their children exist. And those children went on to become Reagan babies and that sort of thing. Anyway, so not to be outdone, as awful as that video was, right? That's not appealing to young people. Young people that are interested in politics aren't going to be interested in that any more than they're not going to be interested in this.
Gonna keep on moving forward.
Oof.
Keep on moving forward.
This is like a 65, 70-year-old man.
Forward.
He wants to be Bob Dylan or Stevie Nicks or...
Never turning back.
Wait, hang on. This is where it gets silly. I know. It's hard to believe.
Trump is not a king.
Trump is not a king.
Trump is not a king.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How on earth could that person have an audience gathered together to listen to him sing? At karaoke night, people would have walked out on this person. That is not appealing to young people in America. I mean, it's just not. It's not cool. It's not interesting. Nobody watches that and thinks, I want to be that. I look at those people. Those people seem reasonable to me. No, it's a bunch of old nut jobs still having flashbacks to the first time they took mescaline or mushrooms or whatever it may be back in the day at the first Burning Man. I don't have no idea, but there's a reason why young people are now voting for Republicans. They don't want to be part of that. In fact, it's not even so much all young people. They say young men right now are skewing more conservative. They're polling more conservative than ever before in the history of the country. Again, you might wonder why. If you're a young man right now, especially a young white guy, but young black men too are voting Republican, Hispanics, you name it, and you look around the country right now at what is happening, all the problems, And you ask yourself, how did it get this bad? And the answer you get from college professors, high school professors, people in positions of authority, they'll look at the person asking that question, this 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 19-year-old, why are things so bad? And the person will answer the question and say, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. I'm 17. I just finished high school 10 minutes ago. How could it be my? No, it's your fault. You're young, you're male, toxic masculinity, cisgendered, heteronormative patriarchy. You notice how whenever liberals need to win a fight, they make up words? It's the same thing here, right? Dave Chappelle pointed this out before. It's like trans activists will make up words so they could win a fight. Where do you think trans activists learn that from? I think you know the answer. Well, the Communist Party leaders that seem to have taken over the Democrat Party. And it's not even like it's not as if all of them are young men, but for young men, it's particularly confusing right now. Because young men are looking at women, their age, and they're asking themselves, why are the standards so different? Men are still expected to adhere to the same financial responsibilities they had back in the 1800s, right? Pay for the woman, pay for the date, support the family. You pay for dinner, you pay for the vacation. But despite the fact that they're now expected to be held to the same standards of, 100 years ago or whatever, women are not. Women are supposed to get all the equality, all the freedom, but they're not supposed to have to answer the door, open the door, pay for dinner. And look, as a somewhat conservative guy, I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't bother me. But of course, at my age, a lot of the women I know and talk to, they want to be treated like a woman. They want to be treated that way, right? Women in their 20s, teenage women nowadays, it's different. It's changing. I'll give you an example. This is a video I just stumbled across earlier today. This is a young, presumably in her 20s, who is confused at the fact that the guy that she went on a date with just broke up with her when he found out that her full-time job is selling pictures of her bunghole on the internet.
Well, I hope you guys are happy. That guy that I really liked, he found out about my job and he's not okay with it. I guess one of his friends told him. I was just waiting to tell him because I wanted him to get to know me, not my persona.
Not my online persona. You know what's weird about this video? There's a tiny part of me that can relate with this. As you guys know, I'm a middle-aged man. I recently got divorced, so now I'm out in the dating pool again. And when I go on dates with young women or, whoever it is I've met on an app or a blind date or someone set me up with them, I always wonder, what are they going to think when they realize I'm the co-host and executive producer of a nationally syndicated morning talk show that's kind of edgy and offensive? And believe it or not, some of them don't like it, but that's okay. That's my fault. It's my responsibility to take, to own the fact that I am the person that I am. Maybe you're so far on the left, you don't want to date a libertarian or a Republican or a conservative. And as I'm going out on a date, buying a drink for a girl, I wonder if she knew my positions on abortion or the free market or gun rights, would she walk right out of this bar? But look, again, I have to own that. That's my life. Imagine living in a world, because you live in the same world as the woman in that clip whose video we just watched and listened to, where we're supposed to feel sorry for a young woman in her 20s because a guy just broke up with her after he found out she has sex with other men on the internet for money. Guys, I'm not a staunch social conservative. You guys watch my radio, listen to my radio show. You've watched me on the internet before. I don't care. I listen to punk rock and heavy metal, and I ski in Colorado where people smoke illicit substances while they're on a ski lift. I'm not one of these old boomers that gets offended because someone says the F word in a rap song. I don't care. But when I notice that people are moving too far to the left socially, it's probably a pretty good indication they're moving too far to the left socially. This is silly and insane and ridiculous. Now imagine you're a young man, age 22, 17, 19, whatever it is. You just went on a date with that girl, and now you're supposed to have to explain why you don't want to date her because she sells pictures of her private parts on the internet. I kind of went off on a tangent here about that young lady, and I wasted a lot of time. But the thing I really wanted to talk about in this segment, the real reason, the thing that is actually causing young people to start to skew conservative, to start to vote Republican, it's because people on the left have pushed them there. People on the left have told young white kids, you're the problem. And then black men stood there and they were, it was like, well, wait, am I the problem? Well, you're a man. That So you're part of the problem. And then, Hispanic guys are like, well, what about us? Are we the problem? Well, that depends. How much money do your parents earn? Oh, no, you're the problem too. Asians were a minority until 5 minutes ago. And then they were told that, you guys in California, in California, Asians are now considered to be white because they earn too much and they don't get arrested enough. It's silly and ridiculous and stupid. So yeah, no wonder people are abandoning the liberal movement. The liberal movement wanted them to abandon them. And it worked.
Stop listening to the government and start listening to the truth on Pursuit of Happiness Radio with Ken Webster Jr., a.k.a. Producer Kenny.
If you're just connecting to this video and you're wondering what you're watching, or maybe you don't know who I am, you just see me on social media sometimes, I am the co-host and the executive producer of what is probably the biggest morning radio show in the South, at least on the Gulf Coast, the Walton and Johnson Radio Network, the WJ Radio Network. We are sometimes referred to as the Radio Gods, GAWDS. And we have a smartphone app, and I'd really love it if you guys would download it. It is available for both Google and iPhone, Android and iPhone. You can get it in the Google Play Store. You can get it in the Apple App Store. It's called the Walton and Johnson app, and it doesn't cost any money. You can use it to listen to our radio show live every morning from 5:30 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Again, at 3 p.m., I have an afternoon show. You can connect with us on social media. You can shop in our online store with tons of great merchandise curated by our buddy Austin Peterson from AP for Liberty, if you know what that is. And check it out. It's really cool. Anyway, stand by. I'm going to keep going here. Just recording segments for my afternoon show right now. Let me cue this up for you. Hold on. We'll keep going. Two men tried to launch drugs into a Louisiana prison using a T-shirt cannon. And they would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for, probably everything. That was a really dumb idea. They stood outside of the prison with a T-shirt cannon, shooting containers of drugs and cigarettes into the prison, and weirdly, that did not work. I know, it's hard to believe. I've been talking a little bit about why young people are suddenly starting to skew conservative. And as somebody that is no longer considered young but was recently considered young, it resonates with me. I was a young man who attended the University of Illinois Chicago, UIC. It's a giant state university in the middle of a giant city so big that a lot of people don't even realize that giant state university is there. But if the name of the school sounds familiar to you, it should, especially if you're into politics. One of our professors was a guy named Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers was part of a group called the Weather Underground. He's a convicted terrorist. He did some terrible things, and he's a close personal friend of Barack Obama. And he was very involved in the on-campus politics while I was attending the school. At UIC, we had a Marxist book club and a socialist drinking club and a communist coffee club. And weirdly enough, they all competed with each other on campus out in what was called the quad or the circle campus, they call it, handing out pamphlets and flyers, trying to get people to join their cause. And when I was 19 years old, 20 years old, attending college for the first time, I met the people from these groups. I listened to them talk about really what amounts to authoritarianism. Communism and fascism are basically the same thing. They're just marketed a little differently. I listened to them explain their political beliefs to me, and it pushed me very far to the right. It pushed me towards libertarianism, populism, conservatism, republicanism, not anything but Marxism, communism, or so-called progressivism. It didn't work for me. And it's not working for a lot of other people right now, too. The difference between me and those people is about 20 years. Townhall.com has a story about this today, and they asked the question if things are beginning to change. Well, are they? Often it was the Democrats who knew how to maximize institutional power and play for the long game. That's how they put it. And often it was them who was able to get young people to vote on Election Day for their political party. And now things are changing, and it's not a one-off thing. Trends show that young people are veering towards the right on politics. What happened? Here's where we get to Democrats maybe blowing up their future over Donald Trump. Things like COVID. Imagine the insanity of knowing that you didn't get to go to your high school prom because COVID, and then 4 years later, you didn't get to go to your college graduation because anti-Israel protesters were rioting on your college campus so much that they canceled the graduation ceremony. That actually happened to young people. The hysterics peddled by the left caused all of that. There's this insane statistic, and I don't know, I don't have the statistic in front of me right now, but let's just say an absurdly high number of young people, like 30-40% of young people in America, kids and adolescents, go to bed at night worrying about climate change. Well, why? Why do they worry about climate change when they're going to bed? Because they were told to worry about it. Because somebody in a position of authority decided that their own political ideology was more important than the mental health of a young child, much less common sense and objective facts. So they told them, tonight while you're sleeping, there could be a hurricane or an earthquake or a mudslide, and it's Donald Trump's fault. Now, imagine a reasonable, rational person who's young and respects authority hearing that and not knowing what to think of it. Now think about kids on the spectrum, autistic people, people with Asperger's. What do you expect them to do when they hear this? No wonder Greta Thunberg is so mentally unstable. She never had a prayer, you guys. Instead of getting mad at her or making fun of her, maybe we ought to feel sorry for the woman. But all that being said, the demographics really are changing. For those of you watching me on social media right now, I want to put a chart up on the screen here. Let me blow this up so everybody can look at it. What we're looking at here is by the year. This red line represents adults, young adults, high school students, and where they are politically. Percentage point difference in left to right voting between men, boys, women, and young girls. And Derek Thompson, who published this data online, asked the question, why are young people in the U.S. shifting to the right? And he says, I think that in many ways, both obvious and non-obvious, this is a COVID phenomenon. The pandemic era didn't just demolish faith in scientific and political elites. It strongly increased alone time, sending young men and women, mostly young men, but women certainly as well, in highly gendered social media spaces where the youngest men in particular seem to have become significantly more anti-feminist and open to right-wing influencers and partiers. And parties, excuse me, that's how I put it. I guess I just like to party. But, at the end of the day, it could really be this. Part of the reason why young people are skewing to the right, young people like to win. Do you feel like the Biden administration won anything? Do you feel like Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton represent the values of winners? Hell, Joe Biden, quote unquote, won the election, and even he's a loser. It's abundantly obvious. Trump declared a national emergency at the southern border. That's a big win. Illegal crossings went down from like 11,000 a day to a couple hundred. The numbers have dropped so much, it's insanity. And we were repeatedly told over and over again, this could never happen without Congress passing some bill. And yet Donald Trump did it without that. Deportation flights of criminal illegal aliens ramped up. We're sending them to Guantanamo Bay. We're sending them to Colombia. You think this doesn't matter to young people? It matters. You know what else matters to young people? This will be lost on some of the older listeners. Crypto. Crypto is very popular with the hip-hop community, with rappers. It creates a decentralized currency you can use on the internet to buy and sell things without some big brother looking and breathing down your throat, telling you what you can and can't do with your money. That makes a big difference. Even if they're not doing anything illegal, that makes a big difference to people. But I'm certainly that happens as well. Now, that being said, the Department of Homeland Security is reviewing the parole status of illegal aliens who were allowed into the country under the Biden administration. We're deporting people left and right. And I that's good enough. But the crypto thing, I think, has really made a big difference here on young people. Rappers like crypto. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have become the pro-crypto party. So obviously, when you read the news, it's all about DOGE. It's all about what's going on at the border. And that's great if you're a conservative. But to young, libertarian-minded people, liberty-oriented people, the fact that they're allowed to say what they want, do what they want, think what they want without being punished for it, that's the cool party now. We're not. The Republicans are the party that say, hey, someone told a dirty joke, get over it. That used to be the Democrats. Odd how that changed so much, didn't it? The Democrats created an economy you couldn't afford to live in because everything was too expensive. The Democrats created an economy where they shamed you for having a fuel combustion vehicle. And then, weirdly enough, they didn't create a power grid that was able to sustain all these EVs. I've noticed there's a lot of war happening in the world right now. That war wasn't happening the last time Donald Trump was president. Now there's a lot of war. It's not a coincidence that it happened during the Joe Biden administration. I'm Kenny Webster. I got to wrap this up here. A quick reminder, kids, go to ilovewj.com today. Check out all the cool merch we have online. We're raising money for the Sunshine Kids. We're raising money for Wheelchairs for Warriors. You can always download the Walton & Johnson smartphone app, and it gives you access to our morning show and this afternoon show, Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness. Subscribe to the podcast. We make it easy to get. It is available on every major platform. I love you all. I pray for you. God bless you. God bless Texas. Thanks so much for watching.
It's never too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
You are listening to the Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Tell the government to kiss your ass when you listen to this show.